Right, we're getting stuck straight into a juicy one because we are going to talk about shortcuts. So, shortcuts. Why are people looking for shortcuts? Because anyone successful in anything will tell you that there are no shortcuts. So the people who've actually achieved it, the people who have succeeded, will tell you there are no shortcuts. And yet, why is everyone looking for the shortcut?
I genuinely think that when people look for shortcuts because they have a fear of the work, and they think that there must be a way in which they can do things to optimize the lack of effort that they're doing and still get the same result. I think sometimes it's not even about achieving something faster. Sometimes it's the shortcut is actually what can I get away with not doing that still gets me to the same result. Alternatively, obviously, there is a lot of people that will do a shortcut to get somewhere in 6 weeks rather than 12 weeks. But I do also think that there's a lot of like, okay, so how can I do this and put as little effort into this but still get the maximum amount of return from it?
Yeah. It's always going to come down. It's like it's a cheesy phrase, cheesy saying, but it's true. It's like the magic you're looking for is the work you're trying to avoid. That one. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing with shortcuts. It's that people will spend more time trying to find a shortcut to do something that it's like if you just put that energy and effort into just doing the thing. Why then do you think that people will, like, for example, and the one that I find baffling is that people will go, is this a sign of modern society or what is it? Why is it? Is it the speed? Do you think it's like Amazon Prime society that we live in today?
Yeah, I think it's the world of just like constant dopamine. People need more dopamine. Our brains are so fried, and people's ability to do anything that has some delayed gratification is so low that they need.
100%.
They do something for a day and they expect a return, or they do something for a week and they expect a return of what they'd get in 4 weeks.
Yeah, and a perception of reality. Yeah, agree. That's what I'm saying. But literally, that was my next word. It's like it's like a warped perception of reality where you just sit and just go, you know, people now have become confused over what's hard. You know, like the definition of like things like we've even seen over generations, like family members of our own generation, like grandparents who fought in wars and survived the Holocaust or whatever it may be, and you're sitting here now and you're just like, people now are so afraid of any sort of discomfort that they'll just avoid it at all costs and go, what shortcuts can I take? And let's be real, in the physique world, you know, I say this all the time, like, there are no shortcuts because there are tools that people use and will forever use that I'm sure we'll come onto in today's chat. But they're still not a short. There's only so much muscle you can put on your frame. There's only so much of something that you can physically do. That even if something is speeding up a process, and that speeding up the process is always going to come down to, it's just impatience, right? It's just modern day impatience. It is Amazon Prime just wanting everything next day.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is social media as well, in the sense of like someone will look at what someone else has done in a given time, and they'll think that, oh, well, if I'm not getting that, then it means that I'm failing, or if I'm not getting that, then it means that I'm doing something wrong. Which actually is like, you're not the same person as them. You don't know what they're doing behind closed doors that you're not doing, or you don't know what the genetic pool of where they're at in. You don't know what supplements, you don't know what PD. Like, you don't know. People don't really know what the full picture of what people are actually doing.
It's the iceberg, you know, when you see the tip, people see the tip of the iceberg, and what you don't see is how fucking massive that iceberg is under the water. Like 100%. It's the people want the outcome without understanding the work. And again, I talk about this all the time. It's that people want I want a 7-figure business. It's like, all right, what is the 7-figure business owner doing? Because I bet you're not doing all of those things, and that's why you're not a 7-figure business owner. It's just that it's that same logic. It's the person who's built the physique that you aspire to. Are you doing all those things meticulously? Because 9 times out of 10, the people that are looking for the shortcuts, they're not.
You're not doing any of it.
They're not doing
any of it.
And I think that's where that's where this conversation will get spicy, because the obvious shortcut and the one that everyone thinks is just the icing on the cake, of course, is, well, we could say I was going to say anabolics, but we could actually just go with PEDs in general, performance enhancers, because obviously we've now got the current craze of peptides, for example, that have come in as well. And again, peptides, you know, last episode we talked about supplements. I think we'll do a whole episode on peptides without a doubt. Like, we'll just touch on it today. We'll definitely kind of, today the topic's shortcuts rather than just peptides. But, you know, a lot of people now have just gone down this rabbit hole of, oh yeah, the peptides are now going to be the thing that come and save my physique. And it's kind of going back to supplements. It's like, no, if you've got everything else dialed in, otherwise, once again, they're just going to be another thing that you're just throwing another thing that you're just throwing in there to hope that something throwing money at and just hope that something magical happens when you haven't dialed in the basics. So should we talk about the elephant in the room? Should we talk about the obvious shortcut that most gym bros are going to go for?
Let's do it. I think this is a double-edged sword with a lot of people, is when a lot of people, well, when I speak to a lot of people, especially in DMs, the amount of people that take PEDs, and I'm like, what is your actual purpose? They're like, oh, just to get a little bigger. And I'm like, one, you're too fat, so you shouldn't be getting bigger. And two, you've been training for 1 year. Why don't you just focus on doing the basic stuff or actually being consistent? Because you've already told me you stopped 5 times before. Yeah. So why don't you just not stop for 5 years and see what you can do in those 5 years?
I personally think, and this is, you know, you and me are both built very, very respectable natty physiques. Like, for me, it was a mission of mine to max my natty physique, to actually get to a point where I was like, how much muscle can I get on my 6 foot frame as lean as possible? When I did the photo shoot in 2021, it was, you know, 6 foot, 82, 83 kilos, a single digit body fat. And it was just like, I'd exhausted. I got to that point where I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Well, like, from here, if I were to, the last push up before that to then getting lean again, like, it was definitely diminishing returns by that point. I can't, 100% say that I 100% maxed out, you know, to the 100%, but I can still confidently say I gave it a pretty damn good go. That was 18 years maybe of training, 17 years of training, of bulking, cutting, you know, different methods, you name it, like every single kind of protocol you could imagine along the way. And the point I'm trying to make here, like a physique that I was certainly very proud of, like what would have been, by most standards, anyone would have been able to look and be like, yeah, that's a well balanced, that's a good physique, that's a well balanced physique. So why? And listen, there's a moral. This is where it gets complicated. Is that someone else doesn't give a shit. Someone else just goes, and what? I've been training for a year. So let's talk about the people that think that anabolics in your first 6 months or in the first year are going to be a shortcut. Where's it going to go wrong?
Where will it go right? It's probably more so the answer. That one, they're probably not educated on actually how to use them. Probably going to get a load of side effects. 2, they probably don't have all of their ducks in a row, so they're probably not going to make the progress that they think they are going to make. 3, if they do make the progress that they thought they were going to make, guess what? You probably could have done that naturally anyway. Because I find a lot of times when people go on gear too early, all it actually does to them is, because they've got gear in, they know that they have to be more dialed in. It's like, it hasn't actually built you any additional tissue. It's just done or made you more focused in doing the things that you should have already been doing. So I'm the same as you. I body built 7 years naturally, I think, from like 16 to 23. Again, could I probably push that for another 5 to 7 years naturally and still got bigger? Probably. But with where my goals were at, that was the next step where I was like, right, if I'm going to be a pro bodybuilder before I'm 30 years old, I just don't give a shit about it anymore. But at that time, I was like, that's the goal. So
any one of my clients who, for example, even just mentions anabolics and they go, oh, I want to pick your brains on anabolics, I get them straight on a call. First things first, I'm like, all right, let's get on a call. And first things first is a science lesson. I think that's the most important thing. I'm like, do you, on a scale of 1 to 10, I always ask the same thing. I'm like, where's your, number 10 is you can stand and do a seminar on anabolic steroids, and number 1 is what the fuck is an anabolic steroid. And generally speaking, wherever people are, I then go, right, well, let's go science lesson, what they do, the HPTA, like how these hormones impact that, like the actual implications. Because again, we've all known that 21-year-old in the gym that just got some gear off someone and haven't got a fucking clue what they're doing. They haven't built a physique. They haven't got any experience. And of course, then you find out they're running, you know, a gram of gear a week or whatever. And then, of course, unsurprisingly, like you've just said, their physique doesn't change. Nothing happens. They just go red and they just get high blood pressure, basically, right? They just
high blood pressure, gyno and acne.
Yeah, literally. They just get all the bad shit come along with none of the benefits. Or if you do sort of look and go, oh yeah, you can see you've put on 5-10 kilos. It's 5-10 kilos that they could have put on by just knuckling down for 10 months, 8, 9, 10 months, and just a solid gaining phase.
Anyway,
right? So you could then argue, was it even a shortcut? What's it actually shortcut? Just time, a little bit of time, and still inefficiently so. So yeah, I think it's complicated because, of course, like my stance on all drugs, if I'm being completely honest, is I don't give a fuck what you put in your body, and you shouldn't give a fuck what I put in my body. It's personal responsibility, it's personal accountability. So who am I to say 21-year-olds never step foot in the gym, can't take anabolics? But let's be real, like if I was just going to put my opinion on it and sensible way to do it and sensible way to not do it, I think we're both on the same page here. At max out, or even if we can't define that as truly max out,
give it 3 to 5 years at least.
100%, 3 to 5 years at least of being 100% like max effort for as long a period of time. And I think the important things here are, we've all known that person that's been training for 7 years and doesn't look like they've been training for 7 years, right? There's also the element of like, are you doing things efficiently? Can you build muscle? Can you get lean? Because we've also all known that person that's been dieting since 2014, right? They still don't have abs. So I feel like it's almost like and as a user, you should want this. You should be able, because this goes back to what you were just saying. You tell me, right, the complete opposite of what you've just said now. If we put a gram of gear into someone a week now, into someone who trains like shit, eats like shit, I don't know, smokes fucking weed all the time, and I don't know, is out every weekend on the piss, right? Put that gram of gear in that person versus put 300 mig or 400 mig a week of total load into someone who is fucking exceptional at dieting, at training, at pushing, at all of these things, that is 7-8% body fat, etc., etc., etc. Who's going to get more results?
That second one. I mean, you can see it. Look at Charlie. It's great, perfect example. Perfect example. He's on 240 meg of test a week.
Outrageous.
That's it.
Yeah, outrageous.
He literally messaged me the other week. It's like, everyone's asking me, like, have I upped my dose? I'm like, no. You're just doing things consistently and eating food and training fucking progressively. And
you'll be able to, someone like Charlie, it would not surprise me if you get, I've had clients, right, in their first push-up where you go to 250, 300 meg of test, and 4, 5, 6 months down the line, assuming blood work looking good, they're often going, what now? Can we up the test? Can we put Primo in? Can we put Mast in? And I'm just like,
why?
No, like you could go 10 months. Like I've had, I don't feel I've gone that long before, but you can get a good run as long as blood work's coming back good, especially a first exposure, especially when it's low and everything's all healthy. So if you can get the most from the least, and once again, this is going to turn into so where's the shortcut? It's not a shortcut. And I think this is where what really pisses me off, and this is where comments on Instagram are gold for it, you know, where people just go, oh, if I used gear, then I'd get that result, or oh, if I did steroids, and it's like, well, you wouldn't.
Do it. Here you go. Do it, and let's see.
Crack on. Let's
fucking
see.
Do it.
It's true. So, it's a difficult one. It's such a subject because, you know, could they be considered a shortcut? Do they work? Yeah, of course they do. Otherwise, people wouldn't use them. People wouldn't bother. But are they a shortcut for the people that are using them?
No. I mean, if you look at my progress, I've been on gear for 4 years, nearly, and I've probably built 10 kilos of muscle. So I'm like, is that really in 4 years is that really that fast?
But then you've been sensible with it. You take blood, you get blood work, same as me, regular blood work, making sure that you're doing everything as efficiently as possible, as safely as we possibly can, not escalating dosages to anything stupid. Like the difference is then it's once again where things are in the right hands versus the wrong hands, and the person who again wants to get somewhere quicker than someone else, and they're then willing to increase that envelope to a point where it starts to become
diminishing
unsafe, dangerous. Well, yeah, and diminishing returns, but. Yeah, it's a complicated one. What about?
I will say this actually though as well. I obviously last year I trialed running more gear to see if I got more from it, and the only thing I got more of was feeling like shit.
Correct.
So it's like more does more up to a certain point, and I genuinely don't believe that it does more.
And that's I back that 100% as well. It's the same thing. It's being able to, as always, have this. But listen, this is a new wave of. We've not seen for years. We've seen gym bros just smash more and more gear, and the classic memes that up the dose, just constantly up the dose, and unfortunately that can then influence culture and what people do. But I'm 100% the same as you, and the more efficient you get, and the less you need to run, plain and simple. But what about the new wave then? What about in terms of peptides? Let's go specifically down GLPs when it comes to shortcuts. And getting lean.
Oh,
yeah, juicy. So we said today would be juicy.
Do you know what, as a shortcut, I think a fucking thick idea, as a stupid idea as a shortcut, because guess what?
Yeah.
The faster you come down, the faster you're going to go back up when you navigate off of it, or when you don't navigate off.
But this is once again like perfectly put, because the fundamental part of I've just dieted someone today. I've just done their check. That makes me. I just dieted them for 1 day. I've just finished someone's cut today, and he's single digit body fat. He's absolutely smashed it. Right, he looks absolutely unreal. Nice blank canvas for us to grow from now, and he's on TRT and has always wanted to just start to push that dose up. So we're going to reverse, and we're honestly literally going from 150 test TRT up to 200. Yeah, we should just bump 200 in, and he's been sensitive to test in the past, so or to aromatization in the past. So we'll probably actually keep test pretty low, and maybe put something like Primo in just to in a few weeks' time as we start to reverse. So very, very sensible, very, very slow. But we were talking about this, and one of the reflections in today's check-in, because pictures, and I said, "Is this the leanest you've ever been?" And he went, "Mate, by far." And his check-in, like today, it was in the "How have you felt this week?" He was like, "Every single emotion you could imagine, I've felt this week." He goes, "I've felt happiness, sadness, like depression, tiredness." He's like, it's been a fucking roller coaster of a week. But after his check-in, where I elaborated on that, he sent me a voice note afterwards, and he was like, "I'm so glad that I now know what it takes to get that lean, and I understand part of this process." And I started talking about the reverse, and we've put a bit of a game plan. He's a bit off plan today, and he's away for a couple of days, and I've sort of set his reverse count. I'm like, right, as always, I always do with anyone when they're super lean, as long as it's not binge worthy and careless, a couple of 2-3 days off track, and then we right into the reverse, and off we go. But one of his reflections there was just like, I need to learn the suffer. It was a great comment from him. I need to learn like how to suffer. I need to learn how to get lean without GLP-1s, without any of this assistance, without these things. But and I am 100%. I was like 100 fucking percent. I feel like the whole goal of we talk about PEDs, but we refer to them as assisted athletes, because it's like yes, assistance. It's not doing the job. I mean, once again, the thing that I'm starting to see now is GLP-1s, and like, bodybuilders tend to be good at using the bare minimum dose and the minimum effective dose, right? We're more likely to get something like Reta and go, right, well, let's put it in at 0.5 mg a week, right? Let's put it in at the lowest possible dose, and then if we even need to, escalate from there. I have literally seen and heard of people's stories. 5 milligrams a week I've heard of.
Jeff,
people just starting.
I've heard 15.
I mean, that's just but then what I've found here, so I worked with someone who was using it wasn't Reta, it was
Wegovy.
It was Mounjaro, it was test. So it's but they were using, again, even the doctors or the pharmacists had put them on such a high dose that they couldn't eat. So I remember, like, in the first couple of check-ins, I'm not kidding, like 40 grams of protein a day, and basically no food in the food log, to a point where I was questioning, and I was going, "Are you logging everything, or is this real sort of thing?" I was having a moment.
Where's the rest of your food?
And they were like, "I can't eat," and I was like, then you need to reduce the dose. Like, you need to reduce the dose of what you're doing. You've outsourced hunger to get to a point now where you can't even eat your protein. Like, you're not going to develop your physique. You're going to struggle to do anything. All you're going to basically do is you're going to look worse, and you basically starve. All you're doing is starving yourself. So, I feel like, once again, it's the same conversation again. It's GLPs in the right hands are going to end up being a phenomenal tool that can be used at the bare minimum dose, and in the right hands, the people that are metabolically doomed, if you like, that need to help with reversing type 2 diabetes, etc., etc. It's like, I feel like there's a middle ground once again of people that go, "Oh, cool, I can outsource hunger," and they're just going to take the drug and they're going to struggle to get in shape because they don't know anything about food structure, they don't know anything about macronutrients, they don't know anything about structuring their meal around training, the training window, carbs before, carbs after, and they're just basically going to starve themselves, struggle, and still not get abs. So is it even a shortcut?
For you then, what is the situation, I guess, what is the situation where you would use Reta with someone or a GLP?
I think if they were, so for me personally, I've got a very small amount of clients that are using GLPs, and most of them they've actually come to me, and this kind of proves the point. I've had a couple that have come to me where they've been like, I've been on Mounjaro or whichever one, normally Mounjaro actually, they've been on that for a year, for example, and in a nutshell, I still look like shit. They'll just go like, I'm not, I've lost 15 kilos, but I don't look any different. I don't look good. Which kind of proves a point, and I'm not denying that the meds have obviously helped serve a purpose, but my goal with those clients is then to slowly change the habits and behaviours, so we can also, normally in most instances, I'm always like, right, reduce that dose, because even with Mounjaro, I tend to find I've seen pharmacists prescribing far too high, so it's a case of, cool, bring that down. Then you've got, I've had clients that, when they're at the extreme end of morbidly obese, 50 kilos, 160 kilos, BMI off the charts, type 2 diabetes. It's like, we now, because listen, let's be real, that was why these meds were created. They weren't designed to be fat loss drugs. They were designed to be type 2 diabetes drugs and help with insulin sensitivity. So I just think like sounds obvious, that using the drugs for what they were actually supposed to do. So I've found that useful, because if we do look at, most people that are severely overweight have got pretty bad, their feedback loop between leptin, ghrelin, their insulin sensitivity, all these things are going to be pretty bad. So therefore, bringing in a small dose of something that's going to help with this, I'm all for it. If I'm being honest, I'm not. I've seen a lot of PTs and coaches kick off about this and go, "Oh, it's not fixing the problem, and it's not this, and I'm like, well, once again, it's going down there. It's assistance. If you can assist someone to make the better habits and then put them, physiologically speaking, in a better position where they're able to manage hunger a little bit better. I've got a client, for example, at the moment, he was 180 kilos, type 2 diabetes. He's using Reta actually out of the three. Unreal. He's literally dropping 2 kilos a week. It's just falling off him. But
seamlessly as well.
But where I'm going with this is his diet is fucking excellent. So he's managed to fix the insulin sensitivity, or at least improve the insulin sensitivity issue. He's had improvements with the type 2 diabetes. He is now, via my coaching, we've got the dose just right, so we can still get 100, whatever it is, 80 grams or 100, I can't remember what it is. You know what I mean? We still get a decent, sufficient amount of protein in. The quality of his diet is fucking excellent, and he's training 3-4 times a week, and he's doing 12,000 steps a day. So it's like, what's your problem? So to someone who's going to turn around, this is now helping him get to a point where I will eventually try and somewhat wean him off that dose, if that makes sense. Where we reduce the dose to a point where, and even more so probably when he reverses, so we can actually sit here and go, okay, cool.
See, go on. I've got a girl as well with PCOS, insulin resistance PCOS, and she's recently just gone on Reta, and I'm like, the exact same thing that we were previously doing is now seeing consistent drops in weight.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're actually now having to push the body less hard because it's less resistant and it's more sensitive to food. It's actually partitioning nutrients how you want it to, and it's like you're just getting the result that you want.
I feel like Charlie's made it a few times to this episode. I had a good chat with Charlie on his podcast about this. I feel like, when they say in like economics, they say it's like the middle that always suffers. So they say like it's the rich and the poor will always be right. It's the middle that suffers. I feel like GLP-1s, like I said that little analogy with him, and like I remember him laughing, but I'm like, it's kind of true. Like I feel like the people who are type 2 diabetes, morbidly obese, metabolically unhealthy,
there's merit for it.
These drugs could be life changing for them, literally life changing. And actually, to be fair, even like a lot of people really lost their shit for Reta when it came along, but for those people, even Mounjaro is going to be absolutely perfect. It's going to do the job just as effectively. I feel like bodybuilders should nail it. So if bodybuilders, I've started to see, and I don't know if you've seen similar, again, this will be when we discuss peptides in depth, but I've seen a lot of people complaining about visuals being blurred with Reta in, and like, especially when it comes to feeding and blah, blah, blah. So for me, I think during prep, I would probably, again, for most bodybuilders, I think the reverse. I think just acutely is the word I'm looking for here, right? Yeah. Whether it's the grindy stage of prep, but taking it out so you can peak properly would probably be sensible. And I think the reverse stage of prep, I feel like the people that will suffer and the people that will be, it's exactly the same as anabolics. It's the people that have struggled to ever build the muscle. Anabolics ain't doing shit for them. I feel like the people that are in that middle ground where they've never got lean, they're desperate to see their abs, and they go, "Oh, Reta's going to be the thing, or whatever. GLPs are going to be the thing that help me get abs." I'm like, they're still going to struggle because they haven't mastered the skill of getting lean.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think?
Agree. And I actually do think with the blurring of the midsection, I actually can see it. I'm not gonna lie, I can see it in my own physique. Like I'm looking at my physique now at the same weight I was last year, and my midsection isn't as tight.
Interesting. What do you know?
And
what
it's a bit more washed out. Like my abs aren't as crisp or as dry.
I've seen it on like PCA and stuff now. You know, when you're seeing, I can literally see people's physiques where where you've just got like they've got separation. Like it's so hard to explain. I'm sure you've seen it as well. It's like they're shredded but not shredded. Do you know what I mean? It's like they've got this like there's no separation on the midsection. But what do you know the science, or do you know like what's the theory behind it?
I don't know. I think it's just where the gastric emptying is slowed so much. There's more distension caused that the abdominal wall is then weaker.
Well, listen, an important part of bodybuilding, the actual, as in stage bodybuilding, is peaking and is carbon, and it's like, you know, I wouldn't dream of showing up at a photo shoot or on stage flat. I wouldn't dream of putting a client. The whole goal now is you want to get that full look, that bursting full look. What happens when you've got someone that's, and you'll know this yourself, when you're flat, things don't pop, including your midsection. I've had it where I've had a 700-800 gram, you know, carb refeed, and the next day my abs are separated, as everything looks 10 times better. So I feel like if I'm going to be completely honest, I feel like I personally wouldn't put a GLP in during prep. That's me, and I wouldn't put it with a client as well. I'd be like, or if it's in prep, then it's
going to come out probably like 3 weeks out. It's probably what I'm going to do to an 3-4 weeks, depending on the dose.
Yeah, and I have seen this firsthand as well. I had one of my clients using Reta, needed a refeed, because another thing here is a lot of people will assume that using a GLP or Reta or whatever, you're going to just, all negatives are going to disappear, and it's like, no, like we're talking about, there's many positives of using the drug, but also if you need to refeed, if we need to put carbs in,
you need to refeed.
We need to put carbs in. Now I had a client on Reta that couldn't get 500 grams of carbs in a refeed. He was 100 kilos and lean. Like he needed a lot more than 500 grams. That was a day one. That was a case of, right, let's get 500 and see how we go.
700 tomorrow probably.
Easy, if not more, and possibly even over like 3 days. He literally was sending me screenshots of like, I can't finish this meal. I can't finish 300 grams of potatoes. I can't, or whatever it was, 100 grams of rice. I can't finish this meal. And it got to an urgent. I was like, get some cream of rice out. Like, we need to just get 200 grams of cream of rice, make it as low volume as possible. Chuck some dates and honey on it. He couldn't do it. He literally didn't. He could not hit his carbohydrate target for the day. So we've got, you know, another one there where I'm like, well, a necessary part of getting super lean is actually feeding up, is refeeding and filling the tanks. So if you can't do it,
balancing tipping the scale, isn't it? So it's not. Yeah.
And if you want you want to talk about the digestive slowdown, the gastric emptying, an important part of refeeding is you want to very, very quickly get that waste back in. So it's actually, you need digestion to be absolutely bang point. And you know, I'll be honest, a lot of people, again, we're probably verging into, this is going to end up being the episode that we do specifically on. But you know, the people that go when they're in prep or whatever, they go, yeah, but what about insulin sensitivity? I'm like, you're in prep. If you're in prep, you're as insulin sensitive as you could get. You should be able to throw 1,200 grams of carbs in tomorrow, and your body should just fucking absolutely rinse through it. So yeah, that argument doesn't really hold. So, well, this is the longest episode yet. Shall we cap shortcuts there?
Yeah, done.